let's start there. 1 year in, right? A busy first year, to say the least.
We did a lot. I'm really proud of what we did in a year that I've been here with the company. So, things don't happen as fast as you want. My team's really competitive, so they will put a lot of pressure on themselves, but that's why I love them.
Welcome into the Independent Thinking Podcast. This is your host, Rob Stott. We're just a few days, really, as we sit here recording this, away from the ending of CEDIA Expo and Commercial Integrator Expo, the first ever Commercial Integrator Expo that was co-located at the Colorado Convention Center out there in Denver. And our CI team was there on hand with a physical presence in a booth, number 1301, if you were there, and had a really great opportunity to showcase for the first time in one booth under one roof, the full sort of breadth of the Nationwide Marketing Group custom integration offering, and that being in the form of Azion Unlimited and Oasis Residential Technology Group and the Ellipsis Commercial Technology Group. So a really cool opportunity, and one that Andy Orozco, the SVP of custom integration for Nationwide, obviously was there on hand to experience, and wanted to take the opportunity right after that show, literally right after that show, to sit down with Andy and recap it with him, see how it was, what his experience was like, and what he learned not only about the group's presence and what the feedback was from attendees and visitors to the booth, but what he learned walking around the CEDIA Expo floor and the Commercial Integrator Expo floor, listening to sessions on the Smart Stage and seeing product in booth and hearing what's going on. And also, as we talked, it happened to be the 1 year anniversary of Mr. Orozco joining the Nationwide Marketing Group team. So a fun opportunity there as well to dive into the past year. And so much has happened since he joined, Nationwide Marketing Group, and neat to get his perspective on that as well, sort of seeing the things that the team has been able to accomplish over the past year, what he sees going forward, and what opportunities members have out there that they can take advantage of, as they're part of this group, and some bridge memberships and lots of other unique opportunities that are out there. So, and let's just dive into it. This is Andy Orozco here on the Independent Thinking Podcast. All right, we are back on the Independent Thinking Podcast, and we don't give you any time off. You come right off a trip, you get home, right back to back off another trip too. Prime time to right to Denver is what it felt like for CEDIA, Mr. Andy Orozco, our SVP of Custom Integration here at Nationwide.
Hey,
it's been a year. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. You got me.
I got you on your 1 year anniversary.
I avoid the camera, so it is my anniversary. So how could I say no? Right?
This is your Nationwide's birthday gift to you is an appearance on the podcast, which
I like to live in the background, so podcast and videos out of my comfort zone, and we have others here that are much better than me.
No, well, you did it last year, so right after you jumped on board here, and you've been a fan of ours too, so I can't, let one of my biggest fans get away from doing podcast opportunity, sharing it out on LinkedIn. Man, I can't appreciate the love enough.
I'm a big fan of the podcast for sure, and I like to get others on air. I just try to avoid it myself.
Well, this is here. This is your 1 year commitment, and we won't bother you until next year. All right, how's that sound?
All right. I can do annual.
Awesome. Well, so 1 year. Let's start there. 1 year in, right? Wild year too. I mean, let's kind of recap, right? I could let you do it, but just thinking off the top of my head, it's like you come in, and obviously CEDIA was your first event right away. Basically started at CEDIA. We saw the HTSN rebrand to Oasis, the launch of Ellipsis. I mean, the groups are coming together. You got Azion in there as well. So what a busy first year, to say the least.
Yeah, super busy. So I can't say that I'm new anymore, so I can't fall on that. But things are going great. They're great, but they never happen as, things don't happen as fast as you want. My team's really competitive, so they will put a lot of pressure on themselves. But that's why I love them.
And we haven't even touched on, we mentioned all those new things. Another new thing was the field team. So
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So really, And if I forget anything, you got to help me out. We did a lot. I'm really proud of what we did in a year that I've been here with the company. So, internally, we did some work to rebrand HTSN to Oasis. So that was a really fun process. Hank Alexander, our director of Oasis, he's built one of the most compelling vendor assortments that's out there in the buying group world. We did hire a field team. So we got 4 people in the field that I work with. Responsibility for existing member relations and finding new opportunities for us. So outside of that, yeah, we did launch a commercial group. So we brought Chris Whitley in here for that. He joined the Nationwide family, I believe, in February, March, around prime time. So he's here for our commercial strategy. Had a soft launch at Infocom and had an overwhelmingly positive response. So super proud of that. ASEAN team, they're amazing and continue to do well. And we got long-term goals, which you could talk about in a second here, but that's just kind of on the surface, things that have been going on here since I joined the group.
Yeah. So you mentioned like the things not as fast as you want to, but I mean, just from the outside looking in, you guys have done a lot, and it's, for me, from my perspective, an incredibly successful year, considering all the work that went into it. And, but you say that, so like, what are the things that you think are still sort of in front of you that you want to accomplish? Not necessarily long-term, but sort of those more short-term goals.
I'll give you an example. So streamlining the process. So we're finding new opportunities, but the people, I say guys and women that are in our industry are really busy, right? So I think we have a big opportunity, but I think streamlining the process, automating the process on enrolling a new member would help, because a lot of these small business owners, they're stretched really thin, and for as far as I can remember, labor has been like the #1 pain point in our industry. So people wear many hats, and asking them to fill out paperwork and talk to us, it takes time. That's the one thing that there's not enough of.
No, that makes sense. Well, you talk about process. The only thing I can think of there is, Mr. Sayin and everything that we brought him to preach during the Oasis Summit, right?
I've got coffee with Jason tomorrow morning.
There you go. See,
we do coffee meetups, compare notes on the industry.
No, that's awesome. And I mean, it's so, looking then further ahead, I know anyone that's been following the story, of course, there's the drive to 1,000 that's been talked about across all 3 groups, right? So Oasis, Ellipsis, and ASEAN. That's the big one that's out there. Other long-term goals that you're talking or that you're thinking about?
Part of the reason I came here is I like the culture. Long-term goal for me is to create a nice home for the people that work here. So that's really important for me, and the way we onboarded our team and the way that we go through different processes together with the HR group is fun. And for me, that's the stamp that I want to leave. My mark that I want to leave in the company or in the industry. So yeah.
Pretty solid ones, I'd say. It's what you'd want to strive for, right? Yeah, I think that's something that everyone's always looking for in a place, right?
Yeah.
You want it to feel like work.
I went from like the youngest guy in the room to now I could see the end.
Uh-oh.
I'm across midfield. I'm not like the goal line yet, but across midfield. So you look at things a little bit differently. And I heard many people say it, the more seasoned people in our industry, they want to give back. So I like to find a way to give back and help other people, like help whoever is going to replace me, right?
No, that's
find that person, coach that person.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool, neat aspirations for sure, and cool to hear as well. So, I want to revisit 2 things with you real quick, and both branding related, right? Because I think that's where we, spend a lot of our time together.
Yeah.
A really neat experience, right? And being able to take a long-standing brand in HTSN and see it kind of reborn in a new light, and then launch a brand. So what was going through that like for you?
Well, I haven't gone through that before. So it was fun. So we have internal resources here. There's a lot of them. And you know that. But we use an outside agency. So to go from our creative brief and talk about the things that your goals and all the front end work that you do, and then to see it come to fruition later, find a really good identity for what we want to do. Cross your fingers that the name's not taken, the URL's available, and all the social media stuff.
Yeah.
but I'm really happy where we landed. It resonates. So that was the rebranding of HTSN. So that's been pretty awesome. And then to create a new brand, exciting in different ways. Chris Whitley is our executive director of Ellipsis, our commercial group. So he brings with him 25, at least 25 years of experience. So it's just watching him do his thing. It's been awesome. I went to InfoComm with him to offer a little bit of support, but I didn't really need to do anything. I just watched. That was a fun experience. So we had some assumptions on the market and how big it was, and we went to InfoComm, and that was validated and then some. So we probably underestimated what's out there. So yeah, both were good and fun in different ways. Seeing something just come to life from nothing is pretty amazing, and then to change a known entity that's out there, that's challenging. There's a lot of good things that HTSM did and stood for, so you don't want to erase any of that, but you want to evolve it and create a clear identity, eliminate confusion that's out in the market. So
the easy follow-up, would you ever do it again?
Oh, I for sure. That was one of the more fun things that we did here, I think.
Yeah.
Everyone enjoys it. Probably the hardest part is when you get all these options presented to you. Sometimes it's a tie, it's a three-way, three names maybe stand out at you, and it's subjective. So my opinion is not the only opinion that matters. So for us to land on something that everyone could align on, that was I wouldn't say it was difficult, but it could present a challenge. But we're all really happy.
And one of the things I love too is that each of you, I think, went back to like significant others, right, to get their opinions. I thought that was like unique because it's someone that's obviously close to you and knows what you do, but at the same time, they're not in the industry. So talk about that process. Anything other than that, did you do anything like unique or out there as far as trying to solicit feedback?
Well, I go to my wife a lot because she's definitely from outside the industry. So sometimes you're a little too close to a project. I feel I am sometimes. So I bounce ideas off of her, and sometimes I bounce product ideas for the home off of her, and she's got to approve. So I value her opinion.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, getting a fresh set of eyes on things. Sometimes, she comes back with stuff that I haven't even thought of.
It's unique. It's cool because it's kind of talking to you. I hear a lot of the same things that I think back to way back to episode 1 of this podcast, and Mr. Hickman, when we were setting the stage for what this was going to be, talked a lot about how his sort of mindset for leadership is surround himself with a lot of smart people that know what they're doing and back away. Right? I hear a lot of those similarities sort of in the way you approach things.
Yeah. So I'm lucky because everyone around me is great. And beyond like my immediate team, the company is just stacked with a lot of talent. But for the CI group, just think about it. I have buying group experience. Hank's, I think 8 years at least with Nationwide running what used to be HTSN, now Oasis. Richard Likes, he launched Azione. He used to manage another group, so he brings a lot of buying group experience. Chris Whitley, same thing. Launched and ran a group previously. So now I sit on the same bench as all of those guys, and it's pretty amazing.
Over what?
Doesn't happen a lot.
Combine like a century and a quarter of experience. I don't want to go too high, right? I run the risk, but what's it like? It's over 100 years.
Yeah.
That's sure. Awesome.
Yeah, I say 20 plus now because I don't want to reveal my age. I think I'm probably right in the 25 range. I'm guessing. I'd have to add it up. I say 20 plus though. 20 plus feels good.
I like that.
No, that's awesome. LinkedIn, I think that's what I have. Like 20 plus.
We'll double check and confirm before the end of this. No, but what's awesome too, you talk about all three brands. They've never had the opportunity until this year at CEDIA, just last week. As we're sitting here talking, to all come together, right? Like I know you were all at InfoComm and that was the soft launch for Ellipsis, but to see it all come to life, come to fruition in one booth, in one space at that show, co-located alongside the Commercial Integrator Expo, That had to be a neat experience for you.
Yeah, so the show was great. We could talk about the show a little bit more later. So it was great in many ways. So Emerald did combine resi with commercial, and that lined up perfect for us. So for anyone that wasn't in Denver, CEDIA Expo co-located with Commercial Integrator Expo this year. So we got to show off our strategy, which is to offer both solutions under one roof.
That's awesome. And what about, I think if I remember right too, location on the show floor, it was right between both shows, wasn't it? Like, cause it was a shared show floor and you
Yeah,
were like right on the line in between where they
I
bordered.
think technically we were in the commercial area, but like right where they came together,
Yeah.
right by an entrance. So the location was great. Our internal events team did a nice job with the design of the booth. I mean, it was way outside the box that I think within. So I was really happy with just the visual of it.
Yeah.
Um, and then, our booth did combine, so it combined residential on the Osio Unlimited and Oasis side. And then alongside the new commercial group called Ellipsis. So we feel really strong about the value prop we offer integrators. So for anyone that qualifies, an existing Osio Unlimited or an Oasis member, we could do a bridge membership so they could tap into all the buying group benefits that the commercial side will bring. So that could be program benefits, peer-to-peer stuff, vendor programs, all those things.
What kind of reactions you getting as you talk that strategy out loud to the attendees that were there in Denver?
It was good. Chris Whitley was on the smart stage. All our guys were actually Hank,
Yeah.
Richard, and Chris. So all three groups were represented on the smart stage. So it's a good opportunity to talk about things that are happening, what we're doing. I think if you look at just like industry stats, probably most residential integrators do 15-20% commercial anyway.
Hmm.
So again, kind of validates some assumptions that we made when we talk to people in person about it. And again, it's a differentiator, not looking to do the same thing that others do, but looking to be unique wherever we
Right.
can. So I think that makes us unique.
Explain that too, because I think, I've heard Hank say it on this podcast. I've heard Chris talk about it when he was launching on this podcast. From your seat and kind of the combined perspective of how this group, this nationwide CI group kind of differentiates itself. What is that to you from in your words?
The way that we differentiate,
Yeah.
um, you can go back to our talk a couple minutes ago when we were chatting about all that experience, like just the in-house experience for both industries, residential, commercial, is is high, right? So the knowledge level is high. And then you bring in all the other benefits, right? So vendor relations that are specifically geared towards either one. And then if you're somebody in the industry that's either half and half, sometimes guys do half and half, 50 resi, 50 commercial, truly is a one-stop shop. And everything that you would need is under one roof, find it at one place.
How about from on the membership side and kind of the ideal target? I guess I'll ask. What's sort of the differentiator there of the group?
Between the three,
Yeah, like collectively, like from an Oasis member, we kind of get who they are, and
yeah,
like Oasis is more that hybrid and pure CI.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
as far as the type of dealer you're looking for,
Yeah, I would say that like I'll start with Oasis. I'll go through all three.
yeah,
I'll start with Oasis. It covers the broadest market. So it's a group for integrators and specialty retailers of all sizes. We have CE Pro 100, top 100 dealers in that group. We also want to help less mature businesses accelerate their growth. So that's Oasis. That's residential. Osio Unlimited, also a residential group, is a little more specialized, a little more niche, caters to mid to large size custom integrators only. And then with Ellipsis, that's for commercial integrators that can benefit from the same things that we do on the resi side, with conferences and the peer-to-peer exchange, all the things that we facilitate, plus strong business programs, vendor programs, kind of the same thing. And then again, to be able to live in one of those three worlds and tap into the other is truly unique.
awesome to get, I think, your perspective on that. And again, I think really cool too. Just I say really cool. It's more that I'm jealous that I wasn't there to experience it in Denver, what that collective story was like. But I'm sure everyone there had to have been impressed to kind of see it in action, whether it's from the team side or the industry side, right? Coming to learn more
Yeah.
about the groups and what you offer.
Yeah, I'm in it every day and seeing it in person, like walking in and seeing it. I was impressed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
pretty cool. So what the rest of the show, obviously, the CI team was fully integrated into everything that was going on there. What did you
yeah.
take out of it? Obviously been to a number of CEDIAs, right? So how was this one different, and what was just that overall experience like for you?
Um, I guess a couple of things. There was definitely good energy around the show. So just emotionally, it felt good. I don't know about attendance. It felt like there was a lot of people there. I don't know the official number yet, but definitely good energy coming out of the from the attendees. It's always like a big reunion. Again, been around for a little bit. Lost track somewhere in the 20 plus range, which again sounds crazy to me to just say it. But to see so many industry friends in person and then you're still meeting people, right? So to make new friends, just really felt good. And then we could talk about product.
Yeah,
So on the product side, um, on the product side, if you break it up into like mature technologies and then maybe some emerging stuff. On
sure.
the mature technology side, you look at like audio manufacturers and how they're still evolving. And there's a big focus on blending the performance into the interior design of a home. And so for me, that really resonates. I think, that's the way I approach things. Probably a lot of people that are married have to approach it that way, right? So you both win somehow. You get the
Yeah.
nice performing system, but it doesn't mess up the interior.
Well, and that's been like, I think, gaining traction over time, right? Like there's always been certain brands that's their focus. We could
Yeah,
talk about a new brand in Sonance that's a partner with our group. But you kind of I think it goes almost hand in hand with, as this industry, the CI industry, has sort of put more of an emphasis on trying to reach out to design and architecture communities, right? And wanting to have
yeah,
those conversations. It feels like that's been the catalyst to sort of put more of an emphasis there.
yeah, that too. And then so that reminds me of like we can talk about emerging technologies and some of the things that I see going on over there. So if we talk about lighting fixtures, which are
Yeah.
really popular right now, there's still plenty of upside in that category. And those vendors I see really focused outside of the business. They're really wanting to be a partner. So they're really focused on partnering with custom integrators, educating them, not just on the brand, but also like how to approach the industry. Like you really want to
Yeah.
roll up the sleeves and get them in front of like the design community, right? Or teach them how maybe with lighting fixtures, how do you work the relationship with an electrician that you're partnering and you're not really looked at as an adversary.
Yeah.
So yeah, so like mature categories, I use the example of audio. I mean, there's plenty of other mature categories. On the emerging side, I noticed not just the product, but the approach that a lot of those vendors are taking. So I walked away, I kind of made a mental note in my head, like, well, that's pretty neat. We got some really good opportunities out here to create these long-lasting partnerships between vendors, custom integrators, the group. And then I'm sure anybody on the floor that was there saw these big video walls. So companies like Samsung, they
Mhm.
have these big video walls that they're bringing to market. So those are a couple of things that I could think of right now that stood out to me.
Well, it's
And the list
interesting.
goes on and on.
Yeah, of course. There's so always, I mean, countless press releases that get sent to inboxes of new product announcement and things like that. But interesting that you touch on the education side, because it almost seems like you call out lighting as a category. It's kind of apparent that they have as much of a craving and need for networking in this, like wanting to know who the integrators are. It's just like, well, I need help networking. Well, I need help. Like now we're starting to talk, and that's
Yeah,
where like it feels like it's coming to life, and these partnerships
yeah.
are forming.
And they're listening. Like I
Yeah,
see, I was part of discussions a couple of years ago, and then you see products come to market, or maybe a new brand brought to market that's truly unique for our channel.
yeah,
But that business, lighting fixture companies, the traditional business is lighting showroom, right? So there's an existing client base there that you got to be really careful with. You want to expand, but you don't want to irritate
Right.
the loyal
So
customers.
it is a
So
fine
it's
line.
very careful. Yeah, it's like a balancing act.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So I guess you gave a lot of info to sum it up, like in a couple words. Denver's always a great city too, right? But sort of that overall sort of how this CEDIA stacks up.
So it's hard for me to remember. Like there was that whole period where the
We
pandemic.
didn't, yeah,
I feel like we're crawling out of it
yeah,
now. Like this feels like it's still around, I guess, but it feels like it's very distant.
yeah,
So it feels good. It feels like we're getting kind of back into the swing of things. Feels a little more normal. The city's great. It's all walkable. So I think the city, the location of the event helps. The co-locating of the commercial with the resi thing. The timing going to be better for us. So I thought that was really good. So yeah, I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell on the floor if there was as many vendors as before, or if there was less vendors. You got to keep in mind there's been consolidation in the industry.
yeah,
So Control 4 used to have their own booth. Snap had their own booth. And you
right,
can take an example of other companies that have merged or acquired. Bowers and Wilkins used to be in a different booth from Massimo and the
right.
other brands, right? So it looked a little bit different from that perspective. But I thought the attendance was good and the energy was really good.
That's awesome. I clear that people are excited to be back to it, right? And
Yeah.
just what better time? I feels like there's such momentum around this space too, and not to say it was sheltered during pandemic, but there was such a focus, I think, of as people were stuck at home, they turned internally to their house, right, and where they were living. So there's a lot of room for business and innovation in this space, and brands really delivered.
Yeah. I think
So
now there's events in general are back. Outside of
yeah,
CEDIA Expo, there's an event. If you talk to the vendors, there's probably an
yeah.
event every week that they could go to. Right?
They're gonna get tired of it again pretty soon, I guess.
Yeah, so you just gotta be really careful,
Yeah.
that you don't hit them too often because they can only do so much, right? They still gotta stop.
Oh, that's great. Now, you mentioned that, but like events coming up too, right? The back half of the year. Well, back half, I should say, last quarter of the year. We got, tech summits will continue, things like that. So plenty to look forward to as well.
Yeah, those are great. Local events are good. You can go deeper into the company typically
Hmm.
when you do local. You get some of the people that are either technicians or project managers, people that don't usually go to national conferences
Yeah.
are there. So that's always good. The deeper you can go, I think the better off you are as a buying group, as a manufacturer, as any type of partner.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's awesome. And it kind of, I think you weaved this in sort of through, you're talking about CEDIA and kind of the things you're seeing and trends you're following at the show. But how about for the members out there listening, or even just integrators that, might be at this point in the episode, opportunities that exist. Where are those for our dealers? Whether it's, I I I want to say avoid the cliche, like let's talk about what you can get from your group, but like what are some of the things that they could be doing or areas of business they could focus on? Or
Yeah.
maybe it's a product. Like, is it lighting? What are sort of the things you would do if
Uh,
you were in their seat?
well, I gotta talk about from the group perspective
Yeah,
to start.
for sure.
Because that's kind of where my mind
Yeah,
went immediately. Because if I talk about the group perspective, I'm talking about ASEAN Unlimited, talking about
yeah,
Oasis, talking about Ellipsis. So I think the biggest opportunity for members is to engage with the group because you only get back what you put into the groups. So that means all our members can learn from each other, right?
hmm,
And that value alone, if you go to an event, come back with a good idea. I think Richard says this a lot, Richard Likes. One idea could be worth tens of thousands of dollars.
yeah,
So our role as a group is to facilitate those interactions at our events. So I would encourage the members to just go and be part of the conferences. And I think it's a great place to start. That's like low hanging fruit.
yeah. No, that's awesome. And any products, but you mentioned lighting, of course, from coming out of CEDIA. Are there any other areas that, whether it was from your time at the show or just sort of what you're seeing, partnerships develop, things like that, where they might have some areas they could focus on?
I'll keep my eye out. There's a lot of discussion about artificial intelligence. Everybody's trying to figure that out. So
Yeah,
I'll just maybe stay up to date on that. There's a lot of things in the press. A lot of smart people in the industry are digging into it, and there was panels and a lot of discussions at CEDIA Expo about that. I think the more immediate opportunity, we're still trying to figure out the lighting fixture category. I think that there's so much potential there.
Yeah.
It could be one of the two top categories as far as like how much business you do as an integrator. So you should figure that out. And then again, the groups kind of play a role in bringing good education, introducing good partners, good vendor partners. So yeah, maybe some of the stuff I talked about earlier, just,
Yeah.
even in a mature category, the vendors are still innovating and doing some great things. You mentioned Sonance. They had an incredible booth. It's funny because I was in there and the way that they were talking about selling audio is very similar to the way the lighting world presents.
Yeah.
And how where you locate things, having layers of sound, similar to layers of light.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you know what I would do if I was an integrator? I would just leverage my relationships. We didn't talk about reps, like rep firms. They're the front line, and they're always looking for new opportunities and looking for ways to help. So I would just leverage the relationships if I was an integrator. Plenty of people around that want to help. I know I do. I know everybody that here at Nationwide wakes up every day and wants to find a way to help. Sometimes we get frustrated when people don't take our call. We're like, we're just trying to help you. Come on. Right? It's like a no-brainer. But again, I get it. People are busy. But I would just leverage the human capital that's available, the intellectual capital.
Yeah, no, I could appreciate that for sure. And that's not cliche. See, that got around my cliche, let the group help you. That's like, the emphasis on, making sure that you are engaging, because to your point and to Richard's point, it's what you put in is what you're going to get out. So
yeah. I'm not taking credit for like all the good ideas. I'm just going to put you somewhere in a room with other people with good ideas and just watch the magic happen.
Yeah, good things are going to happen.
That's really fun when you're the host and you see it happening, and you can't talk about it to somebody who's not familiar with groups.
Right.
Like, hey, this alone pays for itself. They don't get it initially, but when they go to an event, if you can get somebody to go to an event one time, usually they're going back.
Yeah, it's where it starts to make sense. And you talk about that, and I know we got some of our own up here in the future too, not too far away, and planning already well underway. So look forward to being at those and seeing that magic in person once again. So cool. Well, Andy, I appreciate it, man. Always great talking to you, having you on here, even if it is just once a year. So
I can commit to once a year, maybe more. We'll see.
Awesome. Well, we'll talk next
You
September.
made it easy, so
yeah, we'll talk next September 14th.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. I do love the podcast. So I have ideas on people that I want to get in front of you. I think
Feed them. Keep feeding me.
Learn. Yeah. There's a lot of good personalities in the industry, and they want to share. They want to help.
Hey, let's talk. Awesome. Thanks again to Andy. Always a very modest individual, but one that, so much experience in this industry and, so much brain power to be able to tap into and knowledge. So I appreciate him doing that and, sharing some unique insights. Lots of opportunities, again, that, exist for our dealers and, interested dealers that want to jump on board with Oasis, Ozion, or Ellipsis. So look forward to seeing that group as they continue that drive to 1,000. But appreciate him taking that time. And as always, appreciate you listening to the Independent Thinking Podcast. And we'll catch you next time.